Chile are determined to leave their mark on their first ever Women's World Cup, while Group F also contains Thailand, who embark on their second straight appearance. Sweden eliminated the U.S. from the 2016 Olympics, and they were the only team to avoid defeat against Jill Ellis' side 4 years ago. The familiar foes meet again this summer, with the top-ranked Americans on a mission to repeat as champions for the first time in program history. The United States, the only three-time Women's World Cup winners, have reached at least the semifinals in every edition of this tournament. Could that streak be in jeopardy this summer? You're going to be considering this fact. The U.S., should they win their group, it could very well put them on a collision course to face France in the quarterfinals right here in Paris. That's a game that was circled back in December when the draw came out. We're going to start big picture with the United States to start. How close to they being a lock, not only to win their group, but to at least get to the quarterfinals and the Final Four again, Heather?
This is a really strong U.S. team. This is an incredibly deep squad. I think Jill Ellis is going to need to get her tactical choices right, going to need to have fantastic player management throughout this whole tournament. This is a fairly easy group. This is one of the easiest groups that I have seen the U.S. have to face off in a World Cup. So expect a lot of goals in those first two games, but then it gets serious.
Yeah, I think, the US have a fantastic chance of repeating, winning the World Cup. The front three that they have, if not the best front three in the world, with Rapinoe, fantastic relationship that she has with Alex Morgan, Heath on the right, dribbling in, taking players on. They're just interchanging positions, so creative. There's goals amongst them. And don't forget, you've got Carly Lloyd, FIFA World Player of the Year, can't get into this starting lineup. She believes she should be in the starting lineup. Jill Ellis thinks otherwise, but she's been coming on as a super sub and really piping up with goals when it matters in these friendly matches. And she's going to be a key player for this team, whether she starts or whether she comes off the bench. She's got a similar role that Abby Wambach had in the last World Cup. She's going to be an important player for this team, starter or not. And I think, this US team are so formidable attacking-wise. I think, Ari, you're going to touch on them defensively, but definitely they can retain this title if they start well.
Exactly, that's my point. If you say, like, attackers or offense wins games, then you say defense wins championships. And this is the one only concern you might have with this U.S. team, as the defense is not as strong as the offense is.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to find out anything really earth-shattering about this team until the third game against Sweden, to your point, in terms of the easy group. Three things concern me when it comes to this team. One, you mentioned already, the pathway, the soccer gods, unless something changes, that quarterfinal matchup, potential quarterfinal matchup with France in Paris. I think ultimately the U.S. loses that game. So I think that's a problem. Number two, the fear factor. This U.S. team over the years, one of the reasons that made them so good is obviously they win, but they've created that fear factor. Other teams feared them. We are at a point right now where if you're looking at a France, and England, and Germany, Australia, these teams, while they respect them and they recognize they're good, I think the U.S. has lost that fear factor that guided them through, even at times where they maybe weren't as good as the opposition. The opposition was scared. And then finally, goalkeeping. Alyssa Nair is coming in and filling some very, very big shoes in Hope Solo. Yep, I said it. There we go. Drink. If you're playing that drinking game at home, we are going to talk about her because she's one, if not the greatest American player, period, to ever play the game. And she's not in goal. And a goalkeeper for the U.S. women's national team is not going to face a lot of shots, but they're going to have to make that one big save that is going to keep the U.S. in the tournament. And I think there's questions right now. It's going to be fun to see how she fills those shoes and if she makes that big save.
And Nair's been the understudy to Hope Solo over the course of the last 5 years. You talked about the schedule, Thailand and Chile. Look, before they even see Sweden in their third group game, the U.S. could have and probably should have already qualified for the knockout stage. Group A features a Norway side desperate to recapture past glory. The 1995 winners have taken part in every Women's World Cup, a distinction their opening match opponents, Nigeria, hold as well. South Korea are hoping to reach the round of 16 for the second straight time, while France have much higher ambitions. Thanks to a squad sparkling with talent, Les Bleus are more than capable of becoming just the second host nation ever to lift the trophy. The U.S. in 1999, still the only host nation to win a Women's World Cup title. Many feel the French are in a place to replicate that feat this summer, but they do have a bit of a reputation that's hanging over their heads.
They do, Rob, and the last two tournaments that they've played, they've lost in the quarterfinals. It's been a major problem for them. Can they now hold the pressure, the expectation of them in this home nation with all the fans going to be behind them? For me, they've been consistently one of the best teams in the world, but when it matters, they have this choke label, and it drives me crazy because they're so talented. Like, why are you laughing? They're so talented.
She called them chokers.
But they have such great players, world-class players in Le Sommer and Marjorie on the left. They got Cascarino or Diani on the right. They get you off your seat. But when it matters, something happens. But for me, they've played a lot of their warm-up games in the chosen stadium. So they've replicated where they're going to be playing and the big crowds. And I think that could help them. But it's that pressure and that expectation. I'm not too sure going on their history.
I have to agree with Kelly. France are the kings of world football. They have a chance to be the queens now and win the World Cup. I think that this occasion of hosting is going to be a big task for this French team. As Kelly alluded to, they have not been able to handle the pressure before.
In the TV business, we're programmed to talk about the people who are there, not who are missing. But when you're talking about Norway, you have to bring up Ada Hegerberg, the best player in the world who was elected not to represent her national team.
Yeah, well, this is a bit of an issue for me because back in 2017, when they played the Euros, the Norwegian team really didn't perform well. And that's the point when Ada Hegerberg asked for change. She asked for change in person, like the trainer, stuff like that. And she decided not to play for the country anymore. And just ask yourself, why did none of her teammates back her up in saying, I don't want to play for Norway anymore? It's not as if the whole team agreed we need a change, so it was just one player. So for me, it's more, let's concentrate on those who are really here. They are here to perform for their country. They want to win the championship for their country, and they were willing to do something as a team. As soccer is a team sport, we don't play a single sport.
This is not just some player. This is as if Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo decided not to play in the World Cup, and we would be on their doorstep demanding some clarity, and we don't have that clarity. So my question to Ada Hegerberg is, what do you want exactly? And ultimately, it could be completely reasonable, but there's been this generalization, and until we know exactly what she wants, it's difficult to assess the situation. But we're going to be deprived of a great player playing on the stage, and I think in time, maybe not now, but in time she will regret it. You don't get a lot of chances, and you might never get another chance to play in a World Cup.
Instead of playing this summer, she's actually going to be doing television work for French TV right here in town. Group B includes debutantes South Africa, who are determined to leave their mark on the world stage. 1999 runners-up China are expected to reach the next round, while Spain, who fell at the first hurdle 4 years ago, will look to confirm all their progress in recent years. But Germany are overwhelming favorites to top the group. Jennifer Marojan and company have their sights set on matching the United States as the only three-time Women's World Cup winners. Martina Voss-Tecklenburg has had just 4 friendlies and a handful of camps to prep the Germans since taking over as their manager back in November. Is it enough time for the German camp?
Well, this really is the big question. And if the tournament would kick off in 4 months, I would say Germany is definitely there to win it. But now it wasn't really such a long time to prepare for it, to really implement the new system, the idea she wants to play soccer. I really think Germany is on a really good way. But I'm not 100% sure if they are there yet. But still count on them. They're still going to be a great team. It's a tournament team. And then you have a player like Jennifer Marojan. She had a really big injury, not injury, like pneumonia in the early part of the season. And to be honest, no one was really sure if she's ever going to come back and be able to play again. And the way she recovered and the season she had with Lyon, like, she really impressed me. And the style she's playing right now, I think that's the best Jennifer Marojan I've seen for a long time, so I'm expecting that from her.
Oh, you sly Germans. You're sandbagging. I'm telling you right now, a Germany without pressure or big expectations, for me, is a scary thing. You're going to love me by the end of this tournament, all right? I'm all in on Germany.
Germany already with a win over France in France this year. Group C contains a pair of upstarts. Italy are back at this stage for the first time since 1999, while Jamaica are looking to make the most of their first ever appearance. Brazil, they know this summer represents the last chance for Marta to crown her remarkable career, and anything seems possible for Australia thanks to the presence of Sam Kerr. After reaching the quarters in the last 3 World Cups, the Matildas are eyeing a deeper run this time around. Marta looking to add to her record 15 career World Cup goals, but she's one of several marquee players facing some fitness questions ahead of this tournament. For more on that, we welcome in for the first time our good friend Grant Wall. Hi, Grant.
Hi, Rob. I spoke to someone who's close to Marta, the 6-time World Player of the Year, and they said there are real concerns over whether Marta will be available for Brazil's opening game on Sunday against Jamaica. 2 weeks ago, Marta injured her left thigh. She missed 11 days of training, only started training again on Tuesday. And this is a player who is viewed by many as the greatest player of all time. She scored 15 career World Cup goals. That's a record, but she has never won a major tournament with Brazil. They've got injury problems. They already had to make a late switch out, the right back Fabiana being replaced by Poliana. And this is a team, Brazil, that has lost 9 straight games entering this tournament. In fact, today, Marta told the Swedish paper Expressen that this is the worst Brazil team she has ever been on.
Yeah, amazing. Their last win, July of last year. Grant, thank you. We'll see you throughout our coverage this summer here from Paris. We're joined now by 2 new members to our studio team, former Australian international Kate Gill and ex-Canada goalkeeper Karina LeBlanc on the set right now. Marta may not even be the best player in her group. Instead, it could be Chicago Red Stars standout Sam Kerr. And she's from your home country.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know this lady's name by now, you must have been living under a rock. She's just a phenomenon. I mean, the accolades she's won and then the golden boots, so many to mention, both domestically and in the NWSL. But for me, I think the question is, does Sam Kerr have to carry this team? If I'm being brutally honest, to a degree, maybe, but no. This team has got so much talent. Like, I could rattle off names: Alana Kennedy, Caitlin Ford, Ellie Carpenter, Hayley Rasso, Elise Keller-Knight, Steph Catley. They're all becoming household names. But for me, we really need to shore up through the midfield and really tighten up in defence. I think that's been a bit of our Achilles heel. But if we get that right, we can do amazing things in this tournament.
They're a fascinating story, but I know what nation has captured your interest and your heart.
Absolutely. Through CONCACAF, I've gotten to spend some time with Jamaica. And mark my words, they could be the sweetheart team of the tournament. They've already won before they've even started a game. Every single Caribbean island, every young girl now sees them and believes they can do something. They have Khadisha Bunny Shaw, who has highlighted so many reels with her goal-scoring ability. They have the ability to just have that, like, loose mentality. So if they lose against Brazil in the opening game, they'll just be like, yeah, man, I'm good, we're cool. They're just chilling, and I'm pretty sure everyone's going to fall in love with them. But again, Bunny Shaw, phenomenal finisher. She had 19 goals in 12 appearances, and I think we will see some finishes this World Cup.
Yeah, we talk about the World Cup men's and women's being a shop window. Bunny is in the shop window, and there's a lot of clubs, some here in France, that are awfully interested in her services. Group D provides no shortage of storylines, with debutante Scotland placing their faith in former NWSL MVP Kim Little. Argentina hope to spring a surprise, while Japan, who finished first and second at the last 2 World Cups, are more than capable of another deep run. England, now managed by Phil Neville, fell to Japan in the semis 4 years ago. The 3 Lionesses arrive in France this summer looking like genuine contenders to lift the trophy. And we remind you, England was 3rd in 2015, but the spotlight has found them back home this time around.
It has. There's so much hype in England at the minute. There's so much sponsorship coming into the game. The press, the media, they all want a piece of this England side. And they was actually announced, the players, on Twitter via social media. They found out the day before that they were in the squad, but in order to get the hype around the nation, Prince William, David Beckham, Emma Watson announced them on their Twitter feeds, which reached 170 million people. It was just fantastic. And Phil Neville's got this thing about him that he makes them believe. You know, they won the She Believes Cup early part of this year, beating Brazil, beating Japan, tying with the US. And their mentality's changed. They have a US mentality now, which is so proud for me to say, I must admit. But they've got goals coming from all across the front line, front 6, Kirby, Duggan, White, Nikita Paris. These players are hungry, they're on form, they've got experience. And I really believe there's something happening, something special within this England side, that they can do something and potentially reach the final. I'm not saying win it, but reach the final, and you never know what can happen.
Yeah, and again, moving on to that, the group that they're in as well, that Scotland-England game is just going to be mouth-watering. For me, Scotland, Kim Little, a phenomenon. It's so glad that she's actually here playing in a World Cup. And then Japan as well, technically, tactically, just brilliant, but I don't think they have the firepower, too structured, lack the individuality. And then Argentina, sorry to say, I think they're just making up numbers.
Oof. Take that, Argentina. In Group E, New Zealand hope to advance past the opening round for the first time. Cameroon seek to duplicate the round of 16 run in 2015, while the Netherlands will unleash the talented pair of Lika Martens and Viviane Miedema that helped them capture Euro 2017. Canada's chances for success likely rest on the shoulders of Christine Sinclair. The veteran striker has a date with history as she closes in on Abby Wambach's international scoring record. Karina, you'll get your chance with Canada in a moment, but first we're going to start with the guy with the orangish-reddish hair over there, and the Orange are back, and kind of a popular dark horse pick this Women's World Cup.
They were, and this is not just something new. We remember 4 years ago, Rob, we were talking about this team, and they weren't quite ready for prime time. Well, since then, they've become European champions, and they've developed, they've matured. You mentioned Martens up top and Miedema, Van de Sanden, these types of players that can do damage individually and collectively are playing with confidence. This is a team that, you know, if you're a betting man or woman and you want to win some money, this is a good bet, and they're flying and they are courageous right now.
I don't think people should bet. They're going to lose a lot of money, including you. Christine Sinclair said this is the deepest Canadian team ever to have played for the country, and I agree with her. From the back, you have Steph Labe, who's proved at the Olympics she has the ability to win at least a medal. You have defenders in Khadijah Buchanan and Ashley Lawrence, who've been playing here in France, and they've gotten that international exposure. And you have Christine Sinclair up top, right behind her, Jessie Fleming. Deepest team, they will score goals, but most important, Christine Sinclair has continued to evolve over time. You can see her, she scored goals after goals after goals. She's 3 goals away from tying the all-time record goal scoring, and for her, she doesn't even want to talk about it anymore. She just wants the game to get the game on and talk about the team.
I'm sure she's talking about that in her mind, becoming the all-time leading goal scorer worldwide. To beat that record would be phenomenal. You know, when I broke my England goal scoring record of Karen Walker, it was constantly on my mind. When I was so close, I wanted that ball come into me. I wanted the ball at my feet. I wanted to be the all-time goal scorer. So, you know, she's hungry for success. She's going to want to break that record and be the main woman. I'm sure of it.
Cameroon, New Zealand. This is your bet.
She'll get the goals then, but she just wants to get it out of the way. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
You see how excited she gets when she gets to talk about England and goal scoring? That's
my passion.
Yeah, that's your red meat over there.